This is the game I am most excited for to date during this college basketball season. I know we've had some good ones. I know Maui Invitational Field was loaded. The entirety of Feast Week was fantastic to me. But as far as like an on paper home game environment between two teams, I cannot wait to see what happens when UConn storms into Lawrence to take on Kansas. Brian Rauf from Heat Check CBB is here with me. This game starts in the front court, obviously. Hunter Dickinson and Donovan Clingan were two of the three favorites to win National Player of the Year with Zach Edey. Clingan started the year hurt. He's kind of slowly come along while Tristan Newton and Alex Caravan held things down. Hunter Dickinson has been loudly phenomenal since the moment the ball was tipped in the first game of this season. For the rest of his team, not so easy. What are you expecting from the big man matchup here?
I am expecting some fireworks, some chippiness, some chirping back and forth. Both of these guys are ones who like to talk. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm interested to see how UConn attacks Hunter Dickinson. Kansas struggled with Eastern Illinois earlier this week, and that was Feast Week hangover, Maui hangover. That's happened with a number of teams. But one thing that they did was they made Hunter Dickinson defend in space. They put him in pick and roll situations. They brought him out to the perimeter. And Clingan is somebody who can make Dickinson do that without switching on a matchup, right? And he's somebody who excels in roles in the pick and roll sets. He can step out and hit a perimeter shot if you need him to. I'm really interested to see how UConn attacks that, or if they choose to attack that, especially with the way Tristan Newton's been playing recently. He, I think, has been UConn's best player over the last couple of weeks. If Clingan has already proven he can handle pretty much everything on the defensive end. If they can attack Dickinson defensively and Clingan gives you 15 points or so, I think that's a great sign for UConn.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? Is how are they going to make Dickinson pay? Because Hunter at this point is so good and so polished offensively. I don't really think teams should be overly focused on like trying to take him away from his offense, because I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think you can. And he deserves a lot of credit for this also. Like he's been a great shooter. His shooting's gotten better every single season, but like he's making 61% of his threes right now. And it's only 2 attempts per game, but on a Kansas team that I question the shot for, like having that ability to step out and take those shots and make them at the rate he is crazy. His rebounding, his scoring is up, his passing is up, approaching the numbers he had his sophomore year. Like I have to give Hunter a lot of credit. And I know I've criticized him loudly at times. From an individual perspective, he has delivered everything they could have possibly asked for him when he signed up to play for Bill Self thus far this season.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's a game we know that Hunter is going to revel in. He loves these moments. He has had, if you go back through his career, he's had moments where as a freshman, he walked in and punked Luka Garza. He's also had moments where as a sophomore, he is expected to go beat Kofi Cockburn, and he gets punked by Kofi Cockburn. So it's been like, as much as we want to say we believe in Hunter, we know what we're going to get. We know he's going to get his points. We don't know if he's going to win this matchup. We just know he's going to be excited for it.
And Clingan's height, wingspan, athleticism, like those are the tools to give Hunter Dickinson trouble if anybody's going to give him trouble. Right. Yeah. You still expect Dickinson to find a way to get his points, but Clingan can be somebody who bothers him. And if he does and exploits some of Dickinson's weaknesses on the other end, like we talked about, that I think goes a long way in solidifying Clingan in the way we talked about him in the preseason. Because we haven't had that real big, like, Donovan Clingan is incredible moment get the season like we thought we could. This could be that.
It could absolutely be that. So you mentioned both these guys have a little chippy nature to them. Hunter is like WWE villain style chippy, like, oh, look at me put the cape and the mask on. Haha, I'm here to punk you. Donovan Clingan is like, tries to keep it under wraps that he's one of the chippier players in the country. I got to interview him at the Final Four last year after their win against Miami. And I asked him 2 questions. The first question was, are you the best shit talker in the country? Because I've been watching you, man. Like, if you just watch this kid, last year he was on the bench a ton while Sonogo went crazy. Like, I haven't seen a better bench shit talker than Donovan Clingan ever. He was on individual players on the opponent's ass for the entire game if you paid attention to him, but nobody was paying attention to him. Now he's the center of attention. He's going to be thrust into the spotlight against Hunter. I feel like this is the first moment where an opposing player is almost like gonna goat him a little bit, because Clingan has that whole mental side to him, and how he responds to the chaos that is Hunter Dickinson is the most fascinating element of this to me.
It's going to be fun to watch because, to your point, Dickinson is quiet about it, but he's the kind who'll lean over to you at the free throw line and just will not shut up and get under your skin, like whispering in your ear up and down the court. And it works if you are controlling things, and I think frustrating Hunter. But again, like these are two guys who know that game, who love that game, who play that game well. So seeing, I think, how they feed off each other in that environment, like this is going to be incredibly fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. And for those that don't know, Donovan Clingan was seriously considering Michigan as one of his schools out of high school in his recruitment. It was UConn or Michigan were the final two. And at the time, Hunter Dickinson was a sophomore at Michigan. Didn't necessarily look like Hunter would leave anytime soon, given the fact that he was back after his freshman year. Clingan ends up at UConn. He's now a national champion. Hunter departs, but just a fascinating, like, what if, because Hunter Dickinson was a big part of the whole decision Donovan Clingan had to make at the time, and a guy that Juwan Howard and staff compared him to during the recruitment. So here we are, big moment. From the backcourt side of things here, DeJuan Harris has not been looking for his offense at all in recent games. That's clearly how he prefers to play. I think that needs to change, but on the flip side, Tristan Newton has been as good as anyone could possibly imagine he would be after the departures of Jordan Hawkins and the other guys from UConn last year. He has really stepped in. While Clingan hasn't been fully healthy yet, Newton has looked like the best player on this team. What do you make of the point guard matchup?
Yeah, Newton has been. I said this a little bit earlier on. He has been their best player through the last 2 to 3 weeks of the season. He's been the one dictating everything, been the one scoring, distributing. He's been a menace on the glass for them too, which has been huge. But DeJuan Harris, you kind of brought it up, to me is the key, not just for this game, but the key for Kansas as a whole this season. Because we've seen this sometimes where Kansas is a very good team, and we know this. But offensively, there are not a ton of proven options right now. Hunter Dickinson, you know what you're going to get from him. Kevin McCullough, you know what you're going to get from him. KJ Adams, you more or less know what you're going to get from him, although he has a little bit more variance than the other guys. DeJuan Harris, when he looks for his shot, is effective and is efficient. It baffles me that he doesn't look for his shot more. I understand him being more of the true point guard and wants to set other guys up, but he kind of takes pride in that, and that is awesome for the team they had in 2022, so in the national title that was filled with guys who could score, he could distribute. This team does not have the same plethora of guys who can score. There's talent, but the younger guys and the freshmen aren't quite ready to fill those roles yet, and certainly not ready to fill them consistently. When he is aggressive looking to score, then to me, Kansas is that national championship contender, Final Four favorite, everything like that. When he is not, they're limited, and they can get by a lot of games without him looking to score and shooting the ball 5 to 10 times a game. But against a team like UConn, that's the game where you need that fourth legitimate offensive option and him to be aggressive to make defenses respect it. And if he's not, I think that swings everything in UConn's favor.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to say it can't happen. I'm very careful when I toe the line with DeJuan because he's done it before. Last year,
right.
he went through these spells of exactly how he's played this year, where he's attempting 4 to 5 shots a game, scoring 2 points, and that's it. But he's racking up the assists. It's not like he's not impacting the game. But then he had a whole month in Big 12 play last year where he was scoring 15 to 20 points every couple nights. So it's one of those things. It feels like he really does just flip a switch and decide when his team needs him to play that role and when they don't. And if it's not abundantly clear, I think he's a very high IQ kid, but it needs to be more clear. This team needs him to score 12 to 15 points every single night. They just don't have enough other options. You said the word limited. It's crazy to use that word about a Bill Self roster, but it's spot on because outside of the top 3 players on this team, I would look at everybody else on this team, and if you told me to guess what program they played for, I would say like Iowa State, maybe. I don't know. Like if I'm being kind, like there's just a lot of dudes who aren't ready to impact the game at a high level. And just one number to throw out before we give a prediction here. Tristan Newton and Donovan Clingan have played for UConn for a year. This is their second season, right? They're national champions. Everybody knows that. They have not lost a game outside of Big East play in regular season or in postseason action. They have not even played a game in single digits in non-conference play. They've won every single game by 10 or more points last year into this year. And this is their first true road game. We should say weird things happen on the road. Look no further than what just happened to Duke at Arkansas. Tough place to play. We don't know how they'll respond. What's your prediction for this game? Who wins it?
I think it is incredibly fun, an incredibly fun game, an incredibly close game. I think this is one of those games where the Allen Fieldhouse voodoo magic pays off. You know, like I think this is a game Kansas wins by like 4 or 5 because there's one possession late in the game where there's some miscommunication or something happens to UConn. Kansas is able to go the other way, get a late bucket in transition, and that ends up being the difference. Like, but I think this is going to be a back and forth, really fun, high level game.
It's for sure going to be great to watch. Like I said, I'm more excited for this than anything in this early season. I'm on the opposite side of this from you. And if it plays out the way you just said, honestly, a part of me would be happy because I think Hunter Dickinson's playing so well. He deserves a moment like this right now. Like he didn't get the coronation at Maui that he may have deserved for how he played individually. This would be a nice little tip of the cap of like, oh yeah, Hunter Dickinson's back as the centerpiece of a great team and beating the defending national champs. With that said, the difference in this game is not going to be who wins the center matchup to me. It's not going to be who wins the point guard matchup to me. It's going to be on the perimeter of these rosters, right? It's going to be on the periphery, whatever the word is I'm looking for. Is Cam Spencer a better player than Nick Timberlake? Right now, much he is, right? Like I just think UConn's 4th through 8th guy are way more ready to impact this game in a way that Kansas's aren't. And I think UConn's defense is good enough to make Kansas pay and make other guys beat them. So I'm going to rock with UConn.
It's a great point. Like right now, neutral court, I think UConn wins. I think UConn has a better team right now, the way everyone's playing. But there's just something about Allen Fieldhouse, man, and playing a true road game and for Kansas playing a true home game. I think that matters.
It absolutely does. Now I'm getting reckless, but I'm very curious what that alternate line would be. What can I get UConn -9.5 for? I'm just saying, like, if you're going to give juice here, I'm looking for the trend to continue. Enjoy this one. It should be one of the best games of the non-conference season. We will be back to recap this game as well if you want to see our post-game reaction to UConn and Kansas. That's Brian Rauf from Heat Check CBB. I'm Greg Waddell from Sleepers Media. We'll see you next time.